right, you are watching Encounter Roleplay, and this is Wheels of War, a tale of epic battles and political backstabbing set in D&D's original game world. This is the world of Greyhawk, and we were off last week, which means we just spent the past 10 minutes trying to figure out what the heck happened 2 weeks ago. I think we've got it, and we will certainly share that with you, but before we do, I want to go around the table, the virtual table as it were, and give everyone a chance to reintroduce themselves to you and share with you what character they're going to be playing. We will begin with Alex.
Hello, I'm Alex Catu. I am playing Lady Vi, the Tiefling Cleric. And as for what happened last week, I believe I was busy making death saving throws.
Oh, yes, that does ring a gruesome bell. What does a gruesome bell sound like?
Toll the Dead.
I was just going to say, it sounds like this Toll the Dead spell.
Yeah. There's a spell for that.
Oh, fantastic. Eugenio.
Hey everybody, I'm Eugenio Vargas. Happy to be back. It's been 3 weeks since I was with these folks because I had to miss session 2, but I'm happy to be back playing Tirimo Cantila, the Grey Elf Diviner Wizard.
Fantastic. So you decided against the Halfling Rogue character switch.
I did. It was tempting. The Halfling Rogue with a thick Southern accent, but I changed my mind. Decided to stick with Tirimo.
We will see how that goes for you.
I was going to say, if he doesn't survive, though, who knows what will come next?
That's true. That's true. I don't even know what's going to happen this episode. I was just sharing with them. I have some ideas of some things that are probably going to happen, but where we're going to be in 3 hours is anyone's guess. We shall see. What about you, Kevin?
Yes, I'm Kevin Kudo. I'm playing a Shiroi Gato, the Tabaxi monk of the party, and last I checked I was at 10 hit points, so we'll see what happens in this encounter.
Oh, yes. Yikes. All right, Josh. You're not at 10 hit points. Why don't you introduce yourself by character name and hit point total at this point? We can't hear you. But we sure want to. Oh, he is panicked and perplexed. Oh. He apparently got a new mic or new mic cable just before the show. We have heard him.
Oh, no.
So we do know that he is live. He is not Memorex. Well, I'm DM Chain. I'm thrilled to be here spinning this tale in the world originally crafted by Gary Gygax himself. As D&D was becoming a game, Greyhawk was becoming a world in the process. And that is the world to which we have returned. First, though, before I say the magic words previously on, let's thank our dear sponsors. So, today, our virtual tabletop of choice is Fantasy Grounds. Oh, is he here? Is that you?
We heard that.
Is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
Yay!
Okay, before I go to sponsors, tossing the ball back to you, Josh, again, announce your character name and hit point total.
My name, I am playing Sable Cross. He's an Asimar half paladin. He's a half paladin, half warlock. He's a Palalock or Warladin, whatever you call him. And I'm at 78 hit points. And
oh my goodness!
Yeah.
You're positively sturdy.
Yeah, it's not going to be that way for long, I imagine.
Oh, I'm sure this is going to be quite easy. All right, now back to the sponsors. We're on Fantasy Grounds. It's awesome, a perfect tool for playing with folks all far apart from one another, as we all are. Oceans separate some of us, but here we are, here in the same moment. Buy the magic of Fantasy Grounds, and you can try it for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all your miniatures for your in-person gaming. From Wayland Games, go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer, and 40K minis for 20% off. How about that? And this week, we have a new sponsor, Dice Envy. And they've got an amazing subscription service where you get cool new dice every month. Starting at just $5, You have access to limited run dice delivered to your door, so go to diceenvy.com. You can also support the show by retweeting. There's going to be a tweet that will show up for you in the chat. And finally, let me remind you how to interact with today's game, because goodness knows these folks need the help. You can donate to affect the game by giving players Nat 1s, Nat 20s, Wild Magic Surges, and this month's special, which I don't understand and fear, the Table of Pets. I also believe that our party has already credited to themselves a magic item. Players, I have not forgotten it. It will come to you, as all good things do, as you wait. Any words of wisdom, little anecdotes, quips, quiggles from the cast before I begin the previously on? No, we're just... There's this kind of sense of grim resignation.
We're all trying desperately to remember what happened.
Yeah.
I will... Let's collectively try to remember what happened.
Okay, yeah, or that.
Yeah.
Previously on Wheels of War. It's all very complicated because our story has been hopping backwards and forwards in time. The present moment. The characters are at the Battle of Crockport Bridge. It is a river that separates the mighty good nation of Furiandi from the fallen nation of the Shieldlands, which is now teeming with orc and goblin forces, and what's worse, spawn vomited forth from the depths of the abyss. Those forces are powering across the river, and our heroes stand at the foot of the bridge. In charge of this evil force is the high priest of Use himself. Use the old, the evil one, the master of dread and awful presences, the lord of pain and scary titles. His high priest, Potch, a name with tremendous significance to Sable, one of the members of our party. When we last left the battle, the forces of evil were routing the forces of good, but in an island in the midst of it, Sable Cross almost single-handedly felled the undead dragon upon which Potch rides and compelled him to a duel of single combats. That's where we left the present. But rewinding 2 weeks earlier, we also left ourselves at this cliffhanger. Before the Shieldlands had fallen, most of our cast were in the throne room of Lord Holmer, the Lord Commander of the Knights of the Holy Shielding, warning him that these forces were on their way. Lady Vi presented a relic that she managed to steal from the Horn Society as she fled with her family for her life. It is an artifact known as the Herald of the Hierarchs. It's an orb of scrying. And as they tried to present it to Lord Holmer, he required each of them to look into it. They made a number of dread discoveries. Lady Vi saw her father in a hellish landscape, appearing as if he was facing judgment from some powerful archdemon wielding a ruby rod. Shiroi, I'm having a hard time remembering people's character names. Shiroi found himself back in Amamorial, the village in which he had spent much of his life, watching as evil forces that had flown down out of the Perrin lands erased Amamorial from the map, and he saw a single beautiful dark woman leading those forces and killing the unicorn that he knew well. And Sable saw the throne room of Use himself, Potch, and the other high priest, Althea, and Use saw that he was being seen. He showed up immediately in the throne room of Lord Holmer, and as Sable tried to take him down with a blow, He leapt over to Lord Halmer and took him away, but left 3 massive demons with the direction of killing all of them. We stand on 2 battlefields, one in the present, one in the past, both with their outcomes uncertain. Thus begins episode 3 of Wheels of War, Twin Woes. Which place shall we begin? Actually, neither. Tirimo was sent by Tirimo, who really has very little idea of what's going on, was sent by
I watched the episode
on a mission. A mission to gain the alliance of the elves of Selene. He was sent to speak with Lady Ralta of all elvenkind, Queen Yolande herself, to secure a promise of aid. He stepped through a portal, leaving his, I think all we can say is lover. We have not defined the depth of intensity and commitment of the relationship. Is that correct? So all we can say is lover at this stage. Left his lover behind and stepped through the gates. And now you see before you a tremendous arched chamber. Is it made by hands or born by nature? It is almost impossible to tell whether it was crafted or grown. Trees make up the sides of the walls. Vines cover the floor. But it's not in any way wild, but strictly ordered and beautiful. It is the audience chamber of Queen Yolande herself. As you look forward, you see her on her throne, resplendent like a star in the sky. A large elf approaches you as you arrive. It's not someone you know, and it is clearly a guard of some sort, not reacting in alarm. How do you respond to him?
I think I would just turn to him. This is not the first time that I've been around and sort of versed in these rituals, and so I just turn to him and say, I've a message for Her Majesty, if you wouldn't mind escorting me.
He nods, and in the midst of his nod, closes his eyes for a moment. They pop open, with an expression across his face as if he has received an answer to a question. He gestures down the long corridor, stepping out of your way.
And I will approach the throne, bowing a depth and length appropriate for Her Grace, and wait for her to speak first.
She moves almost as if underwater. Her hair moves not as if blown by air, but almost as if it is billowing in currents unseen by your eyes. She appears to be beautiful and somehow set out of time. She sits on her throne, and you can see the greenery around her moving and growing, flowers blossoming. She nods her head almost imperceptibly at you. Tirimo, what tidings bring you from the war-torn lands of men?
Your Grace, more dire than we had anticipated, despite our best efforts to suss out what the future would hold for the war-torn lands. It seems that the humans are desperate for an alliance of sorts, though I confess, even with all I have seen, I was not expecting the nature of their request, such as it is.
Have the humans found creativity even in this late age? Somehow I doubt it.
Creativity is relative for their kind, but I will give credit where perhaps it is due. The king is wise enough to recognize how difficult it will be to convince our people to commit to assistance in any true, tangible way. And so he has found a way around it that I find quite interesting. He has asked me to bring you this request. He needs not our bodies, but rather a statement of our support. He plans to use the stated support of the elven people as a bargaining chip to garner more allies in this troubled time.
The political machinations of men never cease to surprise or amuse. So if I understand correctly, we are to be used by King Belvor as a pawn in a game. The token that I am to offer is a promise of aid that will never come. Have I grasped the situation?
You certainly do not remember the king using such words, but as I understood it, yes. And I told him, before I returned to you, Your Grace, that such use of our word, using us as a pawn, as you say, would not go over well with Her Grace, and we would be expecting a sizable and significant return on our investment, if you will.
Ah, I see. So the decision that I must weigh is how badly does Belvor want this empty promise? And what might you have that is valuable to us?
Indeed, Your Grace. I would, however, caution you. Things are dire, as I am sure you are aware, and though much of the future is hidden even from us, I sense that this conflict will not end soon. If I may, Your Grace, I would caution you to consider deeply the possibilities of what may happen, how strained this offer of aid may be the longer it goes on without us delivering on it, if you take my meaning. There is one thing to promise aid to a conflict that never has need of us directly, but from what I have been able to pierce of the veils of the future, this may be more than that.
You are more right than you know, Kirimo. My thralls in the field far from here, in the southern lands of Use, have verified that the abyss itself pours forth across the face of the Flanness. That the Horn Society has fallen, and that the forces now march south.
This changes things. Please continue, Your Grace. My apologies.
On the far side of Wystell Lake, in the Vesvi Forest, Use's forces pour south as well, and our elven brothers and sisters are forced to flee. And another enemy has joined the fray, an enemy yet unknown and unnamed. Amamorio is under threat.
If I may, Your Grace, how far south has Eos penetrated into the Vesvi?
I believe that your lands of the tree are in immediate danger.
That is unfortunate, Your Grace. It is a difficult position for you. I will do my best to advise you and continue in my role as ambassador to the king as best I can, but you of course understand that I have certain responsibilities and loyalties to my homeland and to our priestess there as well. And he just sort of is very torn at this point.
I understand your concern, Kirimo. But I remind you that the timeless tree is named such for a reason. It has faced many threats in the past, and, like the elves themselves, has outlasted them all.
Your grace
But
is wise.
I fear that the humans seek our aid. But should we need them, they will not come. Should the timeless tree and Amamorial truly fall under siege, will Belvor send his men to aid us? He will not. Should I find that Selene itself is in danger, we would defend it on our own. So I am inclined to present no illusions to the humans. This is their struggle. We have our own. It will test us sorely. I will not risk elven lives or elven lands to aid them.
Nor would I recommend that we do, having learned this new incursion from EUs in the north. But perhaps there is a way to still, without risking elven lives for the humans, perhaps there is a way to join our causes, as, at least at this moment, you speak true. That is their problem and we have ours, and yet the problem stems from the same place. It seems to me that perhaps, while we will not, and should not, as your grace has said, offer direct support to the humans at this point, perhaps we can give them a reason that will bolster their morale all the same. They have to know that EUS is not simply coming south against them. Perhaps knowing that there are incursions in the Vesfi against the elven forces, and that the reason for our lack of bodily support of the incursion into the human lands is that we must defend our own. Perhaps seeing that our people are moving to action in our own way will be helpful to them. It is very simple to spin things for the humans. We are offering help to them by keeping EUs from coming through the Vesfi, taking that land and circling around to the human lands from the south and the west.
And should that offer comfort to them, that the enemy of their enemy is ours as well, I think that that is a fair comfort to offer. I think we speak wisdom.
Thank you, Your Grace. It has been many years that I have had the pleasure of serving Your Grace and the tree in the lands of the humans, and I have learned much, both from them and from you.
Approach me, please.
And he does. Is her throne sort of up on a sort of little dais area, or are we sort of on the same level?
It is, and it is flanked on either side with two courtiers. Two men who don't appear to be terribly threatening on their own, who seem to await her pleasure. And they both take one step back.
Oh, I was going to stop on the stairs, but if they step back, then I will go to the top of the dais where the throne is and kneel in front of her.
She places her hand on her chest, and from an ornate necklace of crystal gems, she plucks one. It's about the size, surface area of a fingernail, and hands it out to you. I have need of you, Tirimo. I believe that for now, your position should remain, that you should be on the human front. I know that your heart calls you back to the tree, but the relationships that you have developed in the lands of men cannot be quickly replicated. You have been trusted, And as a trusted advisor, you will be privy to the counsel and plans of men. Through this stone, you may now communicate them directly to me and receive from me my direction.
This is quite a gift, Your Grace, and will greatly assist in future negotiations. If I may, I feel that as the final step of this new stance, and to give King Belvor and his people the reassurance that we are doing our part, the elven people, if I may, perhaps it is time that we let the world know more of the threat on our border. Is it within Her Grace's wishes that the conversation I have with King Belvor is more than a private one? If the people may know that the elves fight alongside them in our own realm.
Yes, I believe that that is appropriate.
Your Grace is
Though
wise.
we suffer our problems and our travails silently, I believe that perhaps now is the time to be more transparent.
It is a change for us, and not a comfortable one. I know this better than many, but I think perhaps, with a threat as great as it is on our northern borders, perhaps change is warranted.
Now we can speak more freely and more frequently. I fear that in the future we will not have the luxury of these in-person conversations, and the need for exchange of information will be far more urgent.
I believe you may be correct, Your Grace.
I'm done. Sorry to step on you. I hate the little...
No, not at all. I know. No, not at all. I'm just going to say, I agree, Your Grace, and this will greatly help future negotiations. If I may, it would be my wish to return to the tree briefly before I return to the lands of King Belvor. I should like to speak with our priestess quickly and set affairs in order there, as the situation is more dire than I realized, before returning to my responsibilities in the human lands.
I believe that through our established connections with them, you may do that immediately. But I am sure that time is of the essence in the lands of men. Tarry not too long.
Of course, Your Grace.
I bid you farewell.
Farewell.
May we meet again under sunnier skies.
And evergreen trees, Your Grace.
She nods and smiles at the exchange of customary greetings, though for her you can be sure that it's not perfunctory. She shows you genuine respect and seems to have some level of earnest caring for your well-being.
He does too, actually. I mean, his I think Tidimo's sort of first concern, as he just showed, will always, to some extent, be the timeless tree. But he's served the queen for a long time, and I think he also has a sort of genuine fondness for her.
Well, good. I'm sure that makes her feel special. So as you retreat back to the teleportation circle, the scintillating blue color that's emanating from the magic circle shifts dramatically and suddenly to a rich and verdant green as the scribe kneeling before it changes the runes inscribed on the circle. You recognize those runes. You could have entered them yourself. And you know that now, one step away, the timeless tree awaits.
And into the circle I step.
My friends, it is my desire, as fun as it has been to bounce back and forth between different characters in different places, in different times. It is my goal, I can't say I'm going to achieve it, but it is my goal to tie all things together today so that we move forward in unity. That is my hope. It has been fun. It's been real. But now, let's move forward. As you step into this portal, we all, as a group of storytellers, step 2 weeks into the future. The battlefield of Crockport Bridge is absolute madness and chaos. As you look towards the lands of Furion, all you see are the asses of men as they rush, completely heedless, in a completely disorganized retreat, shields dropping, men stumbling over the bodies of the fallen, and demons from the sky descending upon them, plucking them up into the air, throwing them, tearing them asunder. The forces on the ground are quite a ways off because they're only just now fording the river. You stand in relatively open ground, but you can tell that within a very short period of time, you are going to be surrounded by orcs, goblins, and all manner of demons. The situation is dire. Lady Vi is down. Lord Grieving is grievously wounded. But the dragon has fallen, and Potch now faces Sable in the grim resignation of combat. Josh gives me
before I feel so rude. Before anything else happened, we had a donation of £20 from role players for a Wild Magic Search for everyone. I have posted the command in chat. Copy and paste that in, and Shane, welcome to the world of Wild Magic.
Here we go.
Oh, I got low. I got 232. That's intimidating.
One of you who has access to the feed and knows how to find it quickly,
I will
look that up for me. This is totally new for me. And role players, I am so sorry that you cannot be on screen with us. Thank you for being with us in spirit. I miss role-playing with you, my dear Tia. What is it going to be? Wild Magic?
Give me 1 second.
This is going to be terrifying.
Okay. If that isn't working, just try it.
How is this going to affect things?
So my one of 232 reads, let's see, target, wait, any food, oh god, I lost it, hold on, I had it for a second. Any food now carried by caster turns to ice. Not freezes, it turns to actual ice.
Oh.
Good.
So you can now toss it into your drink.
Fantastic, yeah.
So as the Baylor, a demon of fire and lightning, radiates this horrible heat energy in your direction, something of the multiverse twists and shifts, and for inexplicable reasons, all of your asses are cooled as the pouches and packs that rest on your backside suddenly begin to radiate an icy sensation deep into your tissues. What you might be able to do with that ice, I'm not sure, but it's interesting.
It's gonna get weirder. Kevin rolled a 2,539, and that reads, hold on, 2,539. Each day, caster wakes with a daisy sprouting out of his mouth.
Obviously.
The caster.
Yeah, so whoever.
So I can apply that kind of liberally.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, okay.
Interesting. So that could go any number of directions, correct? Okay.
I love it.
I know the moment at which I will add that to our story.
I'm glad you did.
Oh my god.
And as justification, Sable and Pop stand facing one another, a mere 5 feet between them. And Sable, you feel well within you something you've never felt before. You can only think that it is perhaps the power of that strange woman with whom you made a pact, somehow rising to the occasion and warping the very air around Potch, the vile energies of Use himself, the demigod he serves. So strangely, magic is twisting and warping in all directions. Is there a third thing, Josh?
There is enough. This one's terrifying. Well, this one's terrible. No, it's not bad. It's so perfect for now. Because what are we fighting by, Shane?
What are we fighting by? A river.
Nearest river is discovered to be artificial. Am I what I mean? Do we dig this river to hold them off? I don't know.
Interesting.
How long's the bridge?
Interesting. Let me consider how to weave this into our story. I think I have an idea. Let me type in one thing.
Okay. Was that mine, Josh?
That
Shaboom.
was indeed.
Okay.
And oh god.
All right. So again, in this oddly held moment where everything seems to stop and the warping of reality is nearly palpable, a rift opens next to Lord Grievering. Through its steps, a beautiful high priestess of Hieronius, who you know well. Her name is Tinnet. And you fought with her inside Lord Holmer's chambers. She steps out, and she is gloriously radiant with the holy power of Hieronius. She takes just a moment to take in the situation, the fact that her forces are fleeing at her back. She faces the river in front of her, and towards her rush thousands of orcs, goblins, and apparently demons. In her hand, she holds a staff. She takes it and snaps it over her leg. There's a blast. Oh. Even Vi, in her near-death state, feels this surge of radiant, holy energy through her. It doesn't actually feel good, but you do feel it. This concussive blast strikes the waters of the river. They begin to, they spool up almost like a wall, and then begin to flame. So, not exactly what was there.
Okay.
But the river is no longer a river of water. I will honor the spirit of the wild magic surge. She has transformed it into a wall of holy blue flame.
That's awesome. We have one more, which is Alex. Which is Alex's one.
Of itself.
This is the whole thing. This one's a permanent effect. Anyone in caster's presence cannot employ direction sense. So
what?
I'm sorry.
basically doesn't know which way north is, or we're all just going to be hopelessly lost around.
How do we get home?
I don't know.
I'm going to apply that one right now because that
We just
makes
have to teleport everywhere from now on.
Oh god.
I could you just put D5 in Fantasy Grounds.
Flash die and then 1d5.
/ I can't seem to get it to type. Oh my gosh! Come on.
Hold on. 1d5. There you go.
There you go. Roll it. A 1.
One.
That is Lady Vi. Lady Vi, You feel, even in the fugue state of your near-death position, this whole energy somehow twists and wrenches something inside your half-infernal brain. And something is broken.
I don't know, I know this.
It remains unclear because you remain unconscious. Yeah, keep throwing them at me. I can justify this stuff all day long. Come on.
Absolutely.
This is
Yeah.
all right. So,
Amazing.
Tinette has joined the battlefield. Lord Grievering, down on one knee, wavering, looks over at her. And from within his helm, you hear, "Thank the gods that you have come, my lady." She looks at Arch, takes a little step back in fear, despite the fact that Hieronymus herself has created a wall of flaming holiness to keep back the swarm of evil that is about to spill over into Furiondi. We are going to go with a new initiative order for this chapter. And I'm
Because
going
I
to
don't remember my old one.
I know
Yeah.
I was first.
Yeah.
That plus
You
6
think so?
help.
I
You
do not want to be
and-
early on, so let's do it again.
You and Ilivara have been fighting
0.
Balor apart from them. I'm going to say that having gotten the Balor against the ropes, Ilivara looks over and sees the dire straits in which the rest of the party has fallen, and she, #LikeABoss, sends you over to help out while she continues to combat the Balor on her own. I believe that she would appreciate and respect that, so you may add yourself into the turn order. There we go. So I'm going to roll for, this is for, whoops, there we go, for Potch, a 13. And there are going to be a couple of additions to the battlefield as well, I fear. So I'm going to roll 2 more 20s.
They're our allies, right? Right?
15.
Right?
Yeah, that's definitely what he fears.
How did you know that I would bring even more allies to you? A 5 and a 16. 16. And our Lady Tinette is going to add into the battlefield an epic battle. Also, I am going to say that this is going to be the last of the heavy battle episodes for quite a while.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm D&D's not mad about that.
Different direction.
Not mad.
Not mad. All right. They 6. All right, so let's look at our turn order. If everyone could let me know, if you would just call out quickly one at a time. Josh, what are you?
Scared. 8.
All right, Didymo, what is your initiative?
3.
Oh,
Right.
fantastic. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
You've
it's
got to
going
cover
well.
all this ground. Lady Vi,
That's right. That's right.
12.
fantastic. Shiroi,
That would be a solid 14.
a solid 14. There we go.
Yeah.
Lady Tinette takes the battlefield despite having just delivered shock and awe from Hieronymus herself. She gets to cast a spell. I will give that to her as her surprise round. And right now, she's going to cast Mass Cure Wounds. She's going to cast that at level 5. I'm going to roll my own dice for that.
We saved healing potion, guys.
All right, so I'm going to roll it over here. 1, 2, 3d8 plus 4, so that's going to be 18 points of healing for each one of you. Lady Vi, you gasp, sit up, reflect, and have a moment of pure vertigo. The entire earth You begin to spin and reel. Your hands go backwards, searching for the earth. It's very confusing. You have a moment to think, I hope that this isn't a permanent effect, but we put such stuff out of the line, because surely not. All right, so I'm going to skip this next edition. Shiroi. Now, bolstered by the healing energies given to you by Tinette, there are foes in all directions, but most of them are running towards the retreating army. Nothing is bearing down on you. Nearby is the still form of the dead dragon, and Potch stands there, eyes locked on Sable, hands in a casting position. What action do you take?
Alright. I'm aware that Lady Vi and Baylor Elise are standing in alive, so I'm just gonna try to rush in and try to get behind Potch really fast. Just sort of, I'm making like a sort of combat run at him, and I try to flip over him and get right behind him.
Dramatic flourish, a flip and a run. All right. So, doing that, what action do you take? That's your move. He keeps his eyes on Sable, or at least his casting magic hands, but he watches as you arc gracefully through the air over his head. He seems to have an unnatural fixation on Sable. Almost as if compelled to a duel.
Almost.
Alright. Yeah. Then with that, I'm gonna take my first attack on him. Let's see what I roll with. Yeah, well, with the chain sickle, let's see what we can get with that.
The chain sickle.
That's a 2 plus 9. That 11's not gonna hit.
It is not, even with his back towards you, unfortunately.
Okay. Let's see, we'll try it one more wait. We'll try with a flurry of blows and see if we can get another attack, and I'll spend a key point for that.
Have I mentioned that I hate monks? Go ahead.
Ooh, that's the 27 with that 18, so that one's right.
As soon as the monk hits him, he breaks free of my compelled duel. Because if anyone other than me hits him, it breaks the terms of compelled duel, so he's no longer under the influence of that.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
I have not been broadcasting my plans, so you have no way of knowing this at all.
Okay, all right. I'm just gonna roll the damage. So, all right, that's a full 6 plus 5, so that's 11 damage towards his backside, and I think I got one more attack with a flurry of blows. Ooh, that's 17 plus nice.
Good grief. A very
one
effective flurry of blows.
Oh, 1 plus 5, so that's a 17 total damage on that first attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And... Alright, do I see any of the forces that are coming at us from his side, or is it more just, like, where would they be coming from, since you said other forces are
coming? Everything
has
stopped approaching. It has been stopped by this strange river that is no longer a river. Thank you, divine magic, wild magic surge. So the advancing forces of Hughes have been, for the moment, entirely halted. The retreating forces of Furiondi have not yet noticed. They are still hauling ass to the southeast, the west.
Alright. Can I make a perception check to see if there's any other potentially bigger threat coming our way that we might want to...
I won't make you do a perception check because, well, that would be an action. But you can see that spiraling in the air overhead, those foes still look very much like a threat to you. Various airborne demons who are not stopped by the wall of holy energy that the river has become.
Alright, well, I still have an attack for this action, so I'll just spend that one more, see if I can get another hit in. Oh, that's a 26 to hit.
Good grief. Good grief, man.
All right, rolling it, and ooh, another full 6, so that is another 11 damage on him.
Nice.
And that's my turn.
Is that all?
Yes,
Amir,
that
what
is
is
all.
that? 28 points of damage against him.
Yep.
Is that all?
Yeah, and I'll probably
Well-
give him, like, if he sees me, I'll just give him a slight little, like, come on, like, gesture, so he can, you know, just slide and just, like, taunting him a little bit.
All right, so looking now at Sable, despite the fact that the cat that flipped over him, punched him several times in the kidneys, did do significant damage, he's still a little rattled by the fact that he was compelled momentarily to a duel. Apparently, desiring to test the mettle of this opponent, he reaches his claw-like hand skyward and with a gesture like this calls down flame, a column of spiraling flame that crashes into the ground, completely encircling Sable. So you can make yourself a dex save, but I'm going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 D6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 D6. Shaboom. Oh, so many ones.
Wow!
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wow! Half of them are ones.
Always one.
That is amazing. And only like 2, like of 6 out of 5. That's
Holy cow, that could have been fatal. But at least you have the decency to take full damage.
Yeah, I take the full damage. Is it fire damage?
It is half fire and half radiant.
I'm resistant to radiant because I'm an
I'm
asshole.
just curious how radiant works with an evil cleric. But it does say radiant, and it doesn't specifically give an option to change it to necrotic. So I'm going to say radiant.
I'm resistant to both radiant and necrotic, so for me it doesn't make too much difference.
wow.
I take full damage from the fire. I feel like I'm fast becoming
You
shamefully
just turn that. So take 13 points of damage for the fire, and then resistant to the other 13. So you would take, I guess, 7 from that.
7.
Is that right? Yes.
Yeah.
Because we always round up. And for his bonus action, no, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. Anyway, it is now Lady Vibrance, for whom the world seems to be vibrating and spinning strangely off its axis. You will begin the round prone, but you may begin.
That's okay, I don't need to get up to do this. Feeling not super great. I am first going to use my action to cast Mass Healing Word. Because you all deserve it. So that is 60 feet. I think I'm in range. Yeah, I'm in range. Yeah, I'm definitely in range of everybody. So my buddies, you're all gonna get... Let me switch over to Fantasy Grounds and roll you some healing. 4 plus 5. You know what? I'm gonna cast that at 4th level, I think. 2d4 plus 5. You're all gonna get 9 HP back.
Nice.
Nice.
Yes.
Boom. And because of the type of cleric I am going to cast Hold Person on that other cleric there, which is also a 60-foot range. Now that is a enchantment spell, which I can use my divine stuff to cast as a bonus action.
Wow.
So, yeah, wisdom saving throw, please.
All right, a wisdom saving throw is coming your way, and he has advantage on this.
Yeah, I thought this would be a shot in the dark, but hey, if it works, at least I got some healing out, and
So we've got, the first one is a 7 plus 6. That's not going to be high enough.
You.
Oh! He's holding!
He is paralyzed for the duration.
Oh, the pain of these bad rolls. Please, this is a level 20 cleric. Oh my gosh. Apparently, I'm not going to be rolling well. That is just
you do get to make that save at the end of your turn again, but
all of Shane's monsters are going to have legendary resistance from now on. Or what is it? Legendary resistance, or you choose to save. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so Lord Grievering, now bolstered by 2 healing spells, is going to rush forward with his sword held high. He's going to get advantage on his attack against Potch now, because Potch be all hailed. So a 6 plus, so that's a 16, no, not a 10. So that's a 6 plus 14, and the first one, 16, that's going to hit. Nice. And he's going to, so that was advantage for his first roll. I'm going to do his second roll now. Is that one? All right, so his second roll is going to miss. But he's going to do 3d8 to 3 plus, oh my gosh. Oh, those were 10s, my bad. Wrong dice. Ignore that. Here we go. 3d8 to 3 and 14 plus radiant damage to 3. Oh, whoa, 28. I do great when I'm rolling against myself. Nice. 8. So Lord Grievering comes with his mighty glowing blade and traces 2 red lines from shoulder to pelvis on Potch. Potch stares both at Sable and Grievering, now a look of genuine terror in his previously cocky face. All he can do is hitch and gasp. Perhaps we should talk.
No. Also, I forgot one thing, because I had a lot of stacked effects on that. If I target people with a healing spell,
I was wondering.
Like if I target people with one of my spells, you get to take a reaction to attack. So if you would like to use your reaction, you can hit him.
But only one person, right?
See, it doesn't really specify. I suppose that one's up to the DM.
I think if you target multiple people, you can choose one of the recipients.
Yeah, you can choose the ally. Yeah, if the spell targets more than one ally, you can choose the ally to make the attack. So, Sable, you look pretty excited. Would you like to use your reaction to make an attack? Because you can.
Very much like the Mount Disco.
Are we gonna get another 150 or higher on this attack?
No. That's like I have a very limited amount of times that I can fucking do that shit. However, that'll be 25 to hit, and if he's paralyzed, it's a crit, I believe.
Yep.
So,
yes, it is.
So as I can only make what do I have? Let me just check. Do I have? No, I don't.
Oh yeah, I should have made those a crit against him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Again.
So that'll be
another 28. Oh my God.
Where are you, Great? So it's 1d. I need to figure this out. So that's 1 plus 20. Plus 24. So I can reroll those ones because I have great weapon fighting. So I'll just reroll them real quick. Okay, so 20.
It was meant to be.
29. No, 28, sorry, 28 damage. 10 of that is necrotic.
Wow, that's intense. So, describe your blows.
I will just sort of, as the healing energy comes through me, and I'm looking very well for someone who's done some very stupid things in the last 30 or so seconds. I'm just going to try and drive my blade through his collarbone. And I basically want to take his head off, but like in a big, like a bust. I'm going to drive down like that, and then down like that, and then I'm taking half of him home with me. That's my plan.
Nice.
So you're able to pierce him with these blows, and as the second blow is in him, he looks at you and says, "Please, lady, I have much I could give you, much you would want to know. I am worth so much to the Lord of Pain himself."
Agreed.
I have a spell for this.
But it is Timo's turn.
Yes, I know you can speak with dead.
No, not that.
Oh,
If we want to keep him.
Oh,
if
yes,
we want to
should
keep him, I can
Aww.
make that real
much
easy.
think we should keep him. However, in this moment, I'm so far away. So I guess I'm just sort of yelling at you all because I forgot to cast Rary's telepathic bond on all of us before this all started. So I'm just yelling.
You haven't added anyone to the WhatsApp group yet, and you're like, "What?
Exactly.
Oh,
How did I spell his name? It's not with a Q. So as I'm going in that direction, I'm sort of saying, yelling at you all to capture him, to keep him alive. So this wall that this incredibly powerful cleric apparently has created with the river, does it look like it's something that's going to hold for a while, or do we still need to be concerned about this bridge and the things that want to cross it?
Let's do a perception check. I would say that perception.
Yep. Sure. 1 second. My perception is plus
Drum roll.
21. Oh, why are you doing this to me? I just gotta do it manually. Fantasy Grounds really hates me today. Okay, so that's a 15 altogether.
A 15. As you look at this wall, you believe that it is not a permanent change in the river. You do see in the distance as if the water in just this segment turned into a wall. You see from the north water rushing down on either side of the wall, as if the things upstream are beginning to rush down.
Okay, so I will, in that case, as I'm running, and it'll have to be a quick glance, but I will try my best to find what looks like a particularly important, structural support section of the bridge, and I'm going to cast a 5th level lightning bolt at it to try and collapse the bridge while I run over to my comrades.
Oh, nice. I would say that from your position, you can see in the center of the bridge, on the bottom, the keystone. You can deliver to that.
And we are charging it up. 5th level, 10d8 altogether, however you want to handle that. But it's a pain.
I'm going to assign. All right, how much? Before you roll that, let me figure out how much I'm going to give bridge. I'm going to give it. It is 10 feet across, 15 feet across, and 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 feet long. I'm going to give it 40 hit points. So you could take it out.
Let's find out, and let's see if I can get Fantasy Grounds to roll for me. Nope, sure can't. / die 10d8 roll. It's just telling me what I can and can't do. Can someone put that in there, because I want everyone in the stream to be able to see it.
10d8, did you say?
10d6. Sorry, 10d6.
Oh, I was going to say that's intense.
10d6.
Hey! Oh, exactly what you needed.
You are making all of my rolls from now on.
The wizard's just like, that's exactly. I'm dedicated.
My table. Let me pull out my slide rule. So
you very clear, Idimo is not a battle mage. Like, casting Lightning Bolt is something he has done maybe a handful of times before today. This is as surprising to him as it is to anybody else.
So you cast this bolt, and you're already running when you cast it. And you hear, chrome! There are probably 30 creatures on the bridge, all of which cry out in unison as they plunge now into this spiraling wall of holy flame. You can tell that this wall actually does damage as each one of them bursts into a blue flame and writhes in the dry riverbed. You, unfortunately, can't do the badass thing where you blow it up but don't even turn around to look. You're so shocked. You have to spin around.
Oh shit!
But there you go. All the way on, almost to Potch from there. Good
Yes,
grief.
so I will move up as far as I can to assist them next round. But yeah, that was a shock to Didimo.
A
shock.
fantastic shock.
The lightning. Well, I'm bad at puns.
Now, at this point, at the end of the turn order, you hear a couple of things.
Did I not get a go?
Didn't you go?
No, that was his reaction.
I got a reaction from Lady Fire.
Oh shit! Right.
Oh god.
Oh, God. Oh, my
So I'm guessing you're
Lady Fire started running towards you and yelling, "Don't kill him!" That'll happen after you probably kill him right now.
Can I go like right at the end of the turn and just be like?
Yeah, well, I already skipped you. You should have already gone, and this is the end of the round. So, it is your go.
Okay, I will. In which case, as
You heard the bridge explode behind you.
I'm gonna try and not kill him.
Thank
You make a valid point. I am very, very angry right now, and I'm going to keep him alive for tactical information, not because I can inflict more pain if we take him home.
Exactly.
That is true.
I've also got
that's
spells
true.
for that too.
So that is a 18 to hit.
Well, it's an auto crit, isn't it? Because he's still paralyzed.
Yeah,
As long as he hits.
as long as I hit him. And I will.
Is that going to
No.
be allowed? Like, what are you going to do as an auto crit and try to keep him alive?
The pommel of the greatsword.
Yeah.
I will
Nice.
basically lay the flat of it against my pauldron, grab him by the scruff, and just straight like hammer blow him in the temple with the
Oh, Jesus.
with it. And then, I mean, I don't know if the first one will take him out, but I got 2 attacks, so I'll go with one or the other.
We are adjusting this to specifically non-lethal damage at this point.
Yes.
Alright.
Which
I mean,
I'm
you
not
can
gonna,
kill him. I can just fix it.
I'm trying not. Killed your enemy? I can fix that.
Oh my goodness. So, the damage for the first one.
Characters are fun.
So the damage for the first one will just be 22.
Oh, a mere 22. All right, so you lay the sword on your shoulder. He looks at you in absolute terror and goes, "Wait!" And you see him stare at you for just a minute after you pull this thing around. And you see in slow motion the knot well up on his temple as his eyes slowly roll back in his head like a sack of potatoes.
Hey, in which case, if he's down,
Wow.
that's good. That was a good thing. Shit, where am I?
You're welcome.
Do I have anything I can do as a bonus action? I don't think I do. So I think I will just. I've only used one. So yeah, I will do that. And if anyone else is nearby, yes, I do. Sweet. Can I?
Terrible.
I am too.
Can I? Right. I don't suppose I can Misty Step while carrying him, can I? Because that'd be like. That'd be.
I mean, you can, but he'd stay there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will just sort of like hold on to him and start moving away. Because now we can retreat. Now I've got what I want, we can retreat. That's how Sable's mind works. So I'm just like, okay, and I start dragging him away, if possible.
I'm going to throw one final challenge at all of you.
Okay.
As you turn in the direction of the retreating troops, you look back over your shoulder. For the time being, this radiant wall of energy still holds. Lord Grievering sheathes his sword to be able to faster run, and looking at Tinette and looking at all of you cries, "Retreat! Back to the pits!" You know that you've come from the line where at the tree line just before it, trenches have been dug. You know that'd be a great place to hunker down. And he turns and begins to run. There are very few of the enemy foes on the battlefield. They've pretty much been stopped by the wall, except two flying creatures begin to spiral down towards you, Sable. One of them, some huge bird-winged, vulture-like creature emitting a shrill shriek. And the other one, like the fat fly that you try to swat, incessantly buzzing around your dinner, except a nightmare version, pustulant, foaming with some sort of yellow fluid from every gap in its carapace, and dives down towards you. Both of them diving down towards Sable. I'm going to give them... actually, we're just going to go through one more round to see what you do. Tinette is going to look back and just say, "Run!" She's going to pass. This creature, the one that's more like a bug, is going to dive down and attempt to grapple for Potch's lifeless body.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So we're going to make I'm going to make an attack. And we will throw that in there. This is going to be +3 to see if he hits.
Oh! Not one!
Continues. The creature buzzes down, reaching 6 insectile legs towards Potch. You got him over your shoulder, heading for the end zone, and you do a little duck, and it buzzes overhead. There we go. Shiroi, what are you doing? Are you running with the rest?
All right.
I will say that there are two potential targets. One of them the bug, and one of them the vulture.
All right. Well, but we have Potch and we're making our way towards the trenches,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Well, I'm going to use
You
my...
do see the vulture is on an approach pattern for the lifeless body of Potch.
All right. Wait, the vulture has the body?
No.
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 I'm
Okay.
going to say that he's 60 feet off, but heading your way.
All right. Well, first things first, I'm going to drop a smoke grenade around us, so yeah, just so we can get some cover. Yeah,
Yes.
one of my items would have.
Yes! The
Yep.
boy!
Obviously.
You're right. One round after a smoke grenade lands, it emanates a cloud of smoke that creates a heavy obscured area for a 20-foot radius. And yeah, so it disperses in one round. So I'm just going to drop. So can I drop it like just?
That'll do.
All
Yeah,
I
right
can
where you
just-
are. Yeah.
Yep. All right, and with that, I'm going to. How's everybody else looking, just health-wise? Because otherwise, I'm just going to bolt for the trenches, feline.
Well, now
agility,
I'm heavily
all
scared,
that.
but you can't see anything.
fall.
That's true.
It's just sort of like, I think of it as like a just drop it and just bolt. Like before it even has a chance to go off, and like try to like flip flop or crisscross or like tap dance around like away around all these people. So I try to like minimize my chances of getting hit.
I'm going to say that you can continue a normal rate of movement, which will take you out of the cloud.
All right. And do I have to like take any attacks of opportunity from anybody, or
No.
how?
No,
All right.
nothing is on you. Nothing is imminent. Oh
Right.
my goodness. So he drops a and then rushes out of the room.
Yeah, and sort of like as I'm
Crop-dusted
when I like before I drop the grenade, I turn to Sable and go, "See you at the trenches," and I just like leave. And oh yeah, so how much further away? Like if I can move with feline agility, it's 120 feet. So
Yeah.
how much further do I have until I reach the trenches?
I'm going to say it's a quarter mile.
Okay.
But
then,
in this round, all we're worried about is, are you running away or are you standing your ground?
Yeah, I'm just running.
All right.
I'm just making my retreat.
Lady Vi, you see the go on, a billowing cloud of impenetrable darkness envelops Lord Grievering, Sable Cross, Tirimo, and the lifeless body of Potch. And then, which is quite amusing, almost bursting forth from this cloud of toxic fumes, there is a white cat running at full speed. You do see, I would say at this point, from where you are, 80 feet away, the approach of this creature is now bearing down on this cloud. The vulture-like creature.
I want his body.
Whose body?
I followed the plan here. I want that guy's. I want that guy's corpse. Well, not corpse, unconscious body for us to interrogate and ask questions to. So, the one that is swooping towards him, I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt on.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh boy, that's a natural 20.
Ooh.
Nice.
Okay.
So
Fun. So that'll be double the
I'm
dice.
giving you guys all the dice that I'm not rolling.
And I cast that at... Yeah, that's a... I cast it at 4th level, so that's 7d6.
Nice.
So that'll be 14d6. Well, it'll be 14 because it was a crit.
Yikes. This is gonna hurt.
Oh, nice.
Respectable.
Very nice.
Respectable.
So,
And you have it... And there's advantage.
describe the arcing bolt.
So Leany Vi, still from the ground, I haven't stood up yet, I'm prone. But I'm casting spells, so who
everything
cares?
you've done today on
Just
your
sitting there, I'm
ass.
like... And I can see it swooping towards this cloud and stick out my hand with my holy symbol on it. Just had to check which was my left and right there. Stick out my hand with my holy symbol on it, and just an absolute arc of red energy, kind of like flame, but more crackling and more vibrant, more alive, shoots out of my hand and just envelopes this creature. And even once the energy's gone away, there's still almost a glow about the creature, as though it's easier to attack almost.
Almost as if a beacon saying hit me. So the creature, which has kind of tucked its wings slightly behind its back for an accelerated dive, doesn't even see the approach of this arcane projectile. It is blown sideways. It does 2 flaps and begins to plummet towards the ground, obviously out of control, and tucks and begins arching now away from the target. It begins to pull back as if towards the opposite side of the river. It is spiraling away. You begin to hear now from, I guess what would be where you're sitting, Lady Vi, your left. You turn away from the flaming river, and you see that the forces of men have stopped. They seem to be regrouping along their lines. They're setting up shield walls. They see that the enemy has been held at bay, and the panic seems to have subsided. The holy energy of Hieronius has inspired the men once again, and the few enemies that had taken the field are quickly slain. Between you and the walls of your allies is a few moments of brisk running, and on the other side of the river you can hear the enemy shrieking in frustrated rage. I trust that you're all going to rush towards the friendly lines with the body of Potch, the arch cleric of Euse, bounding against your plate-mailed buttocks.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. It seems like we've gotten those two creatures out of commission, so nothing is coming towards Potch's body. If at any point something tries to take him again, I'm going to try and collect the group of us together and use my helm to teleport us and the body the fuck out of there.
Oh, remind me what your helm
Oh, yeah.
I can teleport
That's
3
right.
times a day, and we've already established that I know the teleportation circle runes for the castle, so I will.
Like I said,
It's fine. We can go back to the line. I don't want to abandon everybody.
Off script.
Oh.
You could go anywhere.
I don't want to abandon the rest of the troops because they seem to not be holding together particularly well. But my first priority is keeping Potch with us. So if anything comes to try and take him away again, I'll get us out of there.
All right.
So as you all dash towards these friendly lines, you can see people popping their heads over the shields. They cheer at the sight of Lord Grievering and Tinnet. They look with trepidation at the rest of the motley crew rushing towards them. Alongside you has drawn up a dark elf. She is grievously wounded, but somehow still looking quite fantastic. And then we have a tiefling, a white cat, and an elf. A strange group indeed. But at the approach of Lord Grievering, the line parts and lets all of you in. It is a short run from there to the trench. All of you slow once you are past the shield wall, feeling the effect of the combat and your many wounds. You make it to the trenches. You drop down, and Tinette stays with you. Lord Grievering calls down, "After you have rested for a moment, I would appreciate your help on the lines once again." And he looks at each one of you with something you've not yet seen on his face. It is a look of respect. An odder bunch I have never fought alongside, but noble nonetheless. You have fought in sweat and blood with me. I will call you friends. Join me again if you can. He turns and rushes away, leaving you with Lady Tinnet and the unconscious body of Potch in the trench. What do we do now?
I turn to look at the others, and I guess I look at Lady Vi and say, "You have some kind of way we can restrain this piece of shit."
If he's awake, yes. If he is awake, I can bind him to us for 30 days.
Alright. Whilst now we're I'm going to go through some of the equipment that I bought with starting gold, and I'm going to go ahead and manacle the absolute fuck out of him, because I have 3 sets of manacles. 1 pair on his ankles, 1 pair on his wrists, and the other pair linking the pair behind his back, so he's hog-tied.
Nice.
and just show me to a railway track, and I'll leave him on it. That's my plan. That's my plan.
Love it.
We're hog time.
I love it.
And who's in command round here? If they've gone back out for a fight, who's left in charge?
Well, you can see that the pit is slowly filling up with grievously wounded soldiers. People are coming in groups of 2s and 3s and dropping off soldiers who have been wounded in the fight thus far. And you can see on the other side of the trenches, there's the tree line. And in the tree line, you can see the carts and tents, the provisions, basically the entire support system for this army. And people are rushing forward, obviously medics and healers rushing forward, trying to tend to the wounded. Lady Tinette turns to you. Do you know what you have on your hands there?
I know his name,
Not
and that's
really.
enough.
A powerful but valuable asset is what we have. And at this moment,
Yes.
our concern should be being sure that we can keep him safely.
I agree. As long as that is the position held by the 4 of you, I feel that I must go and tend to the wounded. But he must be kept alive. He is of tremendous value.
You have some
I
kind of
must-
place we can keep him where he can. Cast or vanish.
I believe
Teleport.
the manacles that you have on him should prevent most of that sort of activity, but be ready to strike him at any moment.
Oh, don't worry, madam. I'll be sure to keep both of my claws on him at all times, and I'll just hold up by his neck with the claws piercing, at least holding his head up, not piercing his throat yet.
Just a little sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should.
Continue, Eugenio.
No, I was just going to say we
I'd,
should. As I was about to say it, Shiroi sort of puts his claws, and I said, "Well, that will take care of what I was going to suggest. This is fine."
Yes.
And I'd also like to gag him and make sure that no verbal, no somatic, and no material.
Medic.
I go methodically through, no, there's no casting for you anymore.
No,
We're
no.
in a casting-free zone.
Oh, we should
Right.
also, Lady Vibrance, would you take possession of his magical focus, his holy symbol?
Yep. Where's his? Do I find anything that looks like a holy symbol on him?
You have to rummage around in his cloak a little bit. You search there.
Yeah. I'm looking for a
You
holy symbol.
find- So you look around. You find as you begin to part his cloaks, you find that his old flesh is covered with ritual scarring. Either ritual scarring or perhaps signs of abuse that is part of his worship. He wears scarring almost like one might wear a garment. It has a clear neckline, but then is an unbroken form across his torso. But you do find
Right.
floating on his chest, supported by a thick black chain, a grinning black skull with ruby red eyes and a gaping mouth, which you recognize as the symbol of Euse.
Yeah. Taking it off, putting it in my pocket.
You do also
Not touching the
find,
I don't want to touch the actual gem. I just want to touch the chain.
you
just-
do also find hooked to his back, there is an unusual weapon. A weapon that he didn't have a chance to draw because he was on the dragon until he was
Then he
held.
wasn't.
And then he wasn't.
And then he wasn't.
And then he was having a very bad day.
It is a mace. The handle for the mace is a little bit long. It seems to be made of some jet black metal. And for the head of the mace, a giant grinning black skull with ruby red eyes. However, on the top of the skull, there are a number of spikes jutting from the skull, essentially making this mace function as a morning star. But you can also see, as you take it, the skull swivels a little bit around the end of the mace, and you can immediately that this is an unusual object. Almost as if someone had rolled for that, donated that, and now finally it has been delivered to you.
Hooray!
Wow. Nice.
Outstanding. That's another thing. I'm gonna wrap the head of it just until we know what it is. I'm gonna cover the head of it that's moving. As soon as it starts moving, I'm like, well, that's no brainer. And I'm gonna wrap the head of it and put it with our stuff.
Just your skin tracing against its exposed black metal shaft gives you a little bit of a shudder involuntarily. You can sense that this is an object of both power and personality.
Oh.
Gross.
Sure.
Gross.
I'll deal with that later. Yeah, that's a future vibrance problem.
Yeah.
So, Sable, as you do as you say and shackle the shit out of this guy, he begins to groan and mutter. He does not appear to be conscious, but before you get the gag in his mouth, you do get a little bit of what appear to be unintelligible. That perhaps serves as the reminder of no verbal, and you get the gag in his mouth. You don't feel like he's done anything, but still, it makes you uncomfortable. The very possibility that he might have.
I will, go ahead and just sort of force a rag into his mouth, tie it off, and then now he's been incapacitated. Who's really injured around here?
Oh, me!
As am I.
I go over to Lady Vibrance, who was pretty. I go over to Lady Vibrance and I place a hand on either one of her shoulders, and I will dump all of my lay on hands into her, and you can have 25 hit points.
Wow.
Yay!
I will say this is kind of an odd DM call. This is not the way I expected things to go, but
Really?
Kidimo has been toe-to-toe with the Baylor with the help of
Ilvara.
Ilvara.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to say you
Is she still out there?
So she's come with you. She's being
Great.
strangely silent. Well, you don't know whether she's been strangely silent because none of you know her that well. She's just lying there against it. I'm going to be super generous and say that both of you are at quarter hit points.
Great. Totally.
Which I think is generous.
Absolutely it is.
It's for the sake of story.
Yeah.
13. Okay, so my current is 13.
Yeah. I'm at like.
So the drow lies against the dirt embankment, panting.
Ow.
Do you want to maybe share that around instead, now that we know?
Well, you've still got healing. You've still got healing spells.
I've got healing stuff, so I can take care of myself if you take care of those guys.
Oh no, I'm saying I'll take care of you, and then I've still got spells.
Okay.
I don't have many left, but I can still cast Cure Wounds, and then I literally cannot do anything. I am the most useless person because I have used everything I have.
Oh, save.
I'm gonna throw out another mass healing word just at level 3 this time.
I do want to let you guys know, just kind of as DM house rules, I let a short rest be just 15 minutes of you saying specifically, I'm going to tend to my wounds. For some reason, like an hour doesn't make sense to me functionally. So a 15-minute break is all you would need, in case that influences what you do.
All right.
Well, I mean, do we want to just take a breather?
Yeah. Yeah, just so we
Really?
stealth spots.
Yes, and I really feel we should get Punch to a secure location within the castle as soon as possible. I know that what's-his-face, whose name is escaping me right now, asked us to go back out to assist them on the field, but we have priorities here.
Yeah.
We can come back. I can take us there and back. It's fine.
I would like to pick him up, like, because he's hog-tied, I'd like to pick him up like he's luggage, like by his wrists and ankles, like lift him up the floor like he's a carry-on duffel bag, sling him over my shoulder, and I look to GMO and I say, All right, fancy pants. Lead on.
He does have very
Like
fancy
my-
pants.
I do
At
thank
this
you very
point-
much for noticing.
By lifting him up in a hog-tied fashion, you do finally get.
it's time to go.
He begins to thrash a bit, and at first the sounds that he makes are angry and insistent, but then he goes.
I'm just gonna
I don't
pat
like
him on
any
the
of
head
this.
and say, "We'll get to that."
Yeah, I sort of go up to his head and
We'll
I
get
like
to
cheeky
that.
smile and I'll just like slap him across the face and go like, mutter once more, and we'll be sure to make, and you won't make the trip back. Got it? And just like, yeah, and that's all he's doing.
Remember, I'm gonna let that cat slap you, but if you seriously start pissing me off, I'm gonna slap you. And you remember how that went last time. And I'm gonna start and just wait like, I will come back. Don't make me come back there.
Nice. Ugh.
So what do we do? Having taken a short rest, you may apply to yourselves the benefits thereof. If anyone wants to spend any hit dice, or anyone has any sort of class-associated bonuses to a short rest, you may apply them to yourselves now.
Well, I'm missing 12 hit points, so I really should heal. Before
No.
I just I pass out.
So in case there's any question as to who is the tank in the group,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
fully healed. 1 hit dice.
I'm trying to
But-
find what I can do.
Kitty just blew up a bridge,
Yes.
so that's
Let's
not
not
bad.
forget.
There is that.
Trying to find where I can take a short rest.
So as you are clicking buttons and rolling dice and applying to yourselves the benefits of a short rest, you have him up. You have tossed him once again over your shoulder. As you
Close
stand, you
enough.
can see over the lip of the trench. You cast your eyes in one direction, you see the encampment of the men, now empty of everyone but support positions and healers. And as you look the other direction, you see the towering tongues of blue flame about a quarter mile off go. And you hear rising in a moment of silence. Finally, whatever the forces that remain on the opposite bank are starting to cheer and stomp their metal-clad feet. What are
The
we
rest of the
doing
wicked, eh?
now? I mean, that's a quarter mile off. You've got your hostage. Now you merely must decide what you're doing with him and with yourself.
We can do this here and now. We can do this here and now. He may need some encouragement because the spell I've got, he can resist it. I would prefer him not to. He may need encouragement to not resist the spell. And we need to figure out what we want him to do. I can give him some commands that will last for 30 days.
Oh. The trouble is, I think that he is worth more as a long-term asset. He knows much about Eos's movements, his plans. It seems to me to be something that would be better suited to keep in the castle to use and get information from over the course of several days as events progress.
Oh, absolutely. We can tell him that he's on our side and he won't betray us and he won't lie to us.
I see.
I would say
have to
that
pull
maybe
that
it would be
spell
good to
up.
suggest that he call off the forces drawing near. That might be of help.
So
I'm
are
not
we
exactly
talking
sure
about,
they're going to be.
what do we call this? It's pronounced Gesh?
Geese.
Gaius.
Yes.
I don't know.
Gaius.
I've heard
Gaius.
geese.
I have heard all of those things before.
Yes.
When I was a boy playing this, we called it geese. Yo,
Actually,
geese
it's
on it?
gas. It's gas.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
so, that's one I've
Yep.
not heard. Gas, as in to pass?
It's gas. As in gas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goss.
That's
There you go. You learn something new every day. Gas. Yep.
Okay. I'd say I look and say we need to take him back. He is someone who is going to provide a wealth of information.
I agree. And I would feel safer about him if he were held by more than our quick rig, manacles, and gag somewhere in a dark dungeon of the castle.
All right. Well, we better be quick about it.
Indeed, we will.
Alright.
All right, then I'll gather all of us into a circle and take us to the teleportation circle in the castle.
Yeah, I totally knew that you were going to wind up back in Kendall, in the capital of Furiondi.
Yes,
I assume
absolutely.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, yeah. And honestly, it does, like, at this point, we've been asked to go and help, and, like, we see that there is a problem on the battlefield. So, I don't know about you all, but, like, I don't need to spend any more time here than to give very explicit instructions about how he should be held, and then we can go back.
Yeah.
Can I
have three,
try
I
and
have three
cast-
teleports today, so I can take us back
Yeah.
whenever.
Can we very quickly just cast that on him to make sure he doesn't try and manipulate his way out of here? Just to give us a bit of compliance?
Yeah. I still think we should have him secured, but yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep him secured, absolutely. But this is just that extra level of compliance.
Yes,
so I am
absolutely.
gonna try and cast gas on him.
Gas.
And I'm gonna make sure that one of my more militant companions has some sort of encouragement available. And then just Vibrance will lean down and look at him and say, "Are you gonna resist me on this, or?"
I tell you what, for intimidation, what I'll do is I'll rest my great sword so it's blade up across the floor, and then I'm going to rest the back of his ankles over it, and I tell him I will cut through both his Achilles tendons if he resists your spell.
What a grimly specific wound to deliver.
Oh, that's gonna
Yoinks!
Do you know
You're not trying to make this
I've been
difficult, are you?
shouting this guy's name for like
I know.
3
Yeah.
episodes.
I know.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Way.
So I will allow you to make an intimidation check, Sable,
Thank you.
because a case could sure be made either direction. There may be things he fears more than the loss of his Achilles tendons.
That's fair.
I mean, if he resists it, we still have him tied up. So
Yeah, that's true. I will. Nope, don't have anything to add with that, so I will cast. I will roll intimidation. That's a 16.
A 16.
Okay. Terrible.
All right. So describe the casting of the geese gas dish.
I'm gonna learn how to pronounce that one. But seeing Sable doing his thing, she leans in. She's gonna say, "You're not gonna make this difficult, are you?" And holds up her hand with her holy symbol on it and places it against his forehead. And as she does so, whispers to him, "You are on our side. You shall not lie to us, and you shall not betray us. You shall answer our questions." I think that covers it.
I think that covers it.
I'm gonna try it. Yeah. I'm going
Okay,
to say
and if he
that
is
that's
not
going to be a
sufficiently intimidated, that's a wisdom 17.
17. The way I've been rolling, you guys are okay. But this is going to be +6.
Yeah.
Drum roll. Oh. He goes.
He's ours.
And then pauses for just a minute. There's a moment where his eyes glaze over, and then he goes. And then he slumps, obviously feeling defeated, perhaps?
Yeah. I'm going to pat him on the head and just say, if you're very, very good, we might let you out of those bonds, but you understand right now, this is best for all of us. And I'm going to stand up and, just wait to be ferried back to the battlefield, I suppose.
Nice.
So, during this casting of the spell, I'm assuming that Dirimo has been preparing a teleportation circle.
Yeah. I guess there isn't one on the battlefield, so, I mean, we spent a good bit of time during our short rest. I made sure to study the encampment there to give ourselves the best chance of getting back without getting lost.
Getting back without getting thrown into a cliffside or someone.
Yeah. Oh, I guess if I have an object from the area, so if there was something. Yeah.
I was going to make a suggestion. I would like to scrape all of the dirt, mud, and everything from the trenches off of my boots and give it to you, because that's something that's a specific place, and I am. There you go.
That's very specific.
I think Tirimo will sort of look at Sable for a moment, sort of like, I'm going to choose to take this as the giving gift that it is, and not read too much into the fact that you just gave me your boot dirt. Yeah, so I'll use that, which should give us a good link back to the camps.
So, the circle shimmers. I assume all of you step into it, and all of you have been in a teleportation circle before. I'm going to say that Shiroi, not often, and Sable, actually Sable perhaps never. That's your call. This would be a brand new experience.
I'd like to just make a quick. Where's my? If you permit, DM, I will make a quick check. Sable, just. Yeah, Sable. Plus 255? That's not my con mod.
Right. Right. Talk about the tank.
No wonder I didn't die. Yeah, okay, so feeling a little queasy, but maybe not showing it, as he's the first teleportation ever, but I have Parch, and I've spent all this time making myself look terrifying in his eyes. If I then go a little bit green in the gills when you teleport me, kind of loses some of the terror. So
it might. So, Sable, you've never experienced this before, and so you don't know if what you're experiencing now
I rolled on
abnormal.
Oh yeah, I got a 19 on that thing.
Oh, right on. So, Sable, as you step in, you feel a tingling arcane energy swell up your body from your feet. There's a shimmering golden light, and then that light is extinguished. And you are in absolute darkness. You don't have a sense of yourself, your body, the burden that only seconds ago you carried. And then the world seems to be full of swaying blonde hair. And the smell comes back to you. A smell that you remember from an old dilapidated shack. The mixture of the horrific body odor and freely spilled offal of the skeletal creature that you had just slain, and all of his open vials of vile ingredients all over the room, and the smell of the sacrifices on the two-handed altar. And you have a sense of a feminine presence remember my promise. I gave you a name, but that name will lead to another, and another, and another forever. Suddenly, the shimmering golden light is back. You stagger out of it, and you are in a 20 by 20 stone room. There are bars, and the only entrance and exit to the room. They're flanked by heavily armed soldiers, both inside the bars in the room and outside, and all of them are leveling spears and polearms at you. As each one of you steps through the portal. Lady Vi, you have been through a teleportation circle more than once, though not frequently. You are not a frequent user of them, and so you immediately recognize that what is happening is different. You step into the golden, scintillating light that Tirimo has set up, and only inky black receives you. And then,
shit,
your nose is filled with the most acrid, pungent, sinus-burning, sulfurous scent you have ever inhaled. You choke at the toxicity of it. Radiant waves of heat scorch your skin, and you can feel it tightening. You can feel your lips drying and cracking. You smell the burning of your own hair. And in that, you hear, "My daughter,
we're not quite ready yet.
help me." The scintillating amber light is back. You stagger out of the circle into the same stone room, heavily guarded instantaneously.
That was all bad.
Shiroi, as you step into this light, you have, again, no idea what to expect, but are also greeted by darkness. And then flame flickers in front of you. You see, emerging from the darkness, the burning of your monastery. And walking out of the flames, burning, is a figure that you can't see because of the flames, but the gate, as familiar to you as your own, lets you know that this is your master, walking forward in flames. As he draws near to you, you see his burning flesh beneath the flames. Bits of his face begin to slough off or liquefy in the heat. And as he comes close enough for you to smell his burning breath, he says, through skeletal teeth, "It is her. The Witch Queen returns." The amber light greets you. I just made the call that you're going last. I should have asked. But Tirimo, you are basically, you've got frequent flyer miles on teleportation.
Pretty much, yeah.
You are well acquainted to the sensation. You know it well. And you know your destination well. You do know that the teleportation circle is in one of the deeper realms of the castle and heavily guarded in case someone should get the sequence and try to infiltrate the castle from that level. So you expect to step out into a stone room under spear points. And you do step into a stone room, but it's a different one. You have no sense of the teleportation circle around you. You are in a room of obsidian blocks. It's about 30 feet long, 20 feet wide, and you seem to be walking towards, on the dais, a sarcophagus in jet black. The lid is more pearlescent, almost white. You don't seem to be walking on your legs, you just seem to be progressing inexorably towards it. And you look down. You see through the lid of this pearlescent sarcophagus. You see a figure, not clearly, within. You have seen that face before. You have seen him once in the flesh. You have seen him daily on the tapestries of the castle of King Belvoir. And you have sensed his presence in the heart, perhaps, of your lover, Coronast. It is the face of Prince Thrommel, who has been missing now for well over a year. You have a moment where you go, where am I? How can I remember? You step out through the amber, shimmering waves of teleportation energy into the basement of King Belvor's castle in the city of Chendel, the nation of Furion. 4 soldiers point spears in your direction. It is not until you arrive that they begin to show recognition on their faces. They're used to seeing you here. These others, a cat, a devil to their eyes, and this formidable armored figure with a body on his shoulder, has seemed to have caused them great alarm. There are other soldiers rushing to the door on the other side of the bars.
Sable, remind me to go first next time.
Remind
Go
me to
first
remind the
next time.
DM I'm going first next time.
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen, but if you would do us the favor and a sort of gesture to Sable and Punch of escorting us to the dungeon and alerting both the king and the dungeon master that we will require particularly strong security for this one.
They hesitate for a moment, pointing their pointy shafts at you, and then finally one of them says, "We'll be needing you to stay here. We won't be letting you out until we hear word."
I sort of step forward and whoever's like nearest to me who has their shaft like spear pointing at us, I like put it down, be like, if you know what's good for you, boy, I would suggest you drop your arms. We leave the man here. We have business to attend to elsewhere. Thank you.
This seems to bring a stiffening, perhaps, of the resolve of these troops. More of them continue to arrive from the back. They don't seem persuaded by your words, and if anything, they are a bit agitated by your actions. They clearly have no intention of letting you out of here.
It is fine, Shiroi. It is better that the king is well guarded and that the security here at the castle does its job properly. However, I would request that you make quick with checking our credentials, as it were. My associate here is correct. We have other places we must be.
Yes, I would listen to him.
So, in a military fashion, these folks begin to back off. They back out the door into the little hallway, and then they close the gate and lock it. You are, all of you are now in this room with the uncharacteristically silent dark elf as well. And all of them guard from the other side of the bars.
Right.
You hear a little bit of a conversation going on, and then someone does seem to be dispatched to give word. is there anything that while you are locked in this room with one another, and with the gently squirming body of Potch on your shoulder, is there anything that you want to do, or any conversations you wish to have? If not, we can skip ahead, but I wouldn't want to rush.
I'm probably just going to tell Potch to calm down. He's with us now. You can be calm.
I turn and look to Tiamo and say, "Where exactly are we?"
We are in the lower levels of the castle in the King Belvor's castle in the capital. Hopefully, the king is in residence and will be able to attend to us shortly.
Can't you just bamf us back?
I can, but I am not sure that we want to leave his body here without...
I ain't leaving him here.
Yeah, I agree. It is best that we first... I know that there are pressing matters on the battlefield, but we should see to his security before we return to the battlefield.
Fair enough.
Fair enough,
As held in
but
place.
If
we
it takes too long,
go back and
Lady
everyone's
Vibrant,
dead...
You are correct. If this takes too long, if the bureaucracy of the security here in the castle takes too long, I will see to it that perhaps the four of you return to the battlefield. I will return here to ensure the safety of the prisoner and then return to you when I can. But I would prefer that we stay together for as long as possible. But to your point, Lady Vibrant, you are correct. We should return as quickly as possible.
Well, it doesn't take too long. You do hear hurried feet in the hallway outside. There are a few additional guards, and a nearly frantic, familiar face to Tirimo. It is Cornast, leading the rest of the guards. Apparently he was around to hear that you had returned, and would have none other but himself be the one to greet you. As he sees you, he pauses for a moment, and then approaches the bars. He does not go to open the door, and he summons you nearer.
I actually hesitate a minute after seeing what I saw. I will go to the door, but I sort of take a breath and sort of steel myself before I approach.
Well, it is certainly wonderful to see you, but unexpected. I trust you implicitly. Can I safely open this door?
Please do. We must secure our, and I'll gesture to the prisoner, secure our prisoner. He is very important, but we must also return to the battlefield as quickly as possible. I trust that you will assist us in securing him until such time as we can return.
Yes, yes. He steps back. Open the door, please, immediately. Let's hold him no longer. Quickly, the door is thrown wide, and he gestures in a sort of gesture that parts the seas. The troops move to either side of the hallway, leading you a clear passage. He leads, waving for Tirimo to be next, and turns over his shoulder. Well, who have you brought?
He says, I say, quite the collection of individuals, I know, but we have been working together these last 2 weeks, is it?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. These last 2 weeks, and he'll sort of hesitate, and just very sort of subtly and gently just sort of place a hand briefly on his back and say, we have much that we should discuss when I am able to return for a longer period of time.
Yes, of course. And this whole short conversation was on the move. Through twisting underground corridors, you enter into an area, like a wider area, up which go 2 huge flights of stairs. But he does not go there. He takes a hard right to a steel-gated archway. The gates are pulled wide at his approach. It's immediately clear to you as you all walk in that you are entering the dungeon. You pass cells quickly on each side. There are, despite the fact that Furiondi is a noble nation, there is an assortment of very vigorously abused folk in the prison cells on both the right and to the left. You can hear distant screaming and kind of a grinding of gears as if some apparatus is working pain on some poor soul. And he does a final turn, and there is a cell with a radiant gold energy etched across essentially the lintel and the sides of the doorways. He opens it up and says, "This can hold him, if anything can. Should I notify the king?"
Yes, please do, but caution him that the prisoner is very dangerous. And, and he sort of smiles and says, while of course I trust King Belvor's abilities, it would be best if he waits until our return to question the prisoner.
Your return, where are you going?
We must return to the battlefield. Things are not going particularly well on the front. If the king is able to spare additional forces to stop quite the army invading over the river, that the name of which I cannot currently remember.
It doesn't exist anymore. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
By the way, the river was
that
made
river.
up. It was a group hallucination. Who knew?
It was a
Like
fake
I said,
river.
we have a lot to talk about. We gotta go back. There's a siege engine of some sort. It looked like giant balloons. Now I'm Russian. What happened? Anyway, we have to go back to the battlefield. But once we have secured that as best we can, I will return. We will talk. I will. We, including the whole group, will have a conversation with the king, and we can decide what to do with the prisoner. The rather impressive Lady Vibrance has laid some additional enchantments to ensure his cooperation as best as possible.
I'm
I still
sure,
wouldn't let
but
him out.
perhaps wait until you brief the king as to the identity and nature of this prisoner. Surely the battle does not hinge on your involvement.
You might be wrong.
Yeah.
Certainly not upon mine, as you have seen me spar in the courtyard, but these four are quite capable. And
You
they
took
are
out the
needed.
entire bridge, feeding the enemy reinforcements across
Yeah.
it. Let's not
Yeah,
downplay your.
You collapsed a bridge.
Yup.
You
That's
killed
a pretty
about
solid
30
shit, if
things.
you ask me.
Yeah.
He responds, giving you a look of sort of perplexed respect, if that is a look that can be given.
I completely understand it. Yes, I know. and It was a
It's a
shock
look
to
of,
me as well.
dang, boy.
Dang it.
If the king is close at hand, I will give him the briefest of briefings, but we really must return.
Yes, please, wait.
You gotta go.
Put him in.
No.
Close the door, whatever you wish. I will be back
We gotta
presently
go.
with the king. So he
Let
must
us
recall.
return to the circle. Let us return to the circle now that he is secured, and I will begin preparations to return us, so that as soon as the king arrives, we tell him who he is and we return.
So Sable, you've got Touch, the name, over your shoulder. Apparently you've got some level of arcane influence over him. But he's still bound and gagged. You carry
Yes.
him into this cell. What do you do?
I drop him like a duffel,
Good.
and I
He twitches a few times as his tailbone makes brutal impact against the stone floor. He convulses in pain, but quickly makes his way up to a seated position and looks at you imploringly. Clearly
Do I-
desperate to say something to you.
do I feel that my magic is gone in here? Is this an anti-magic zone?
Do an Arcana check.
Right.
Hurry, yeah.
Arcana.
Arcana.
Three. A three.
Oh boy.
A three.
I will say
That
that
is
as
rough.
you pass the threshold, you feel a little tingle. It's almost as if your whole body was, for an instant, struck with the kind of pinpricks that you endure when perhaps a leg has fallen asleep and is unhappy about waking up. But it only lasts a second. and only as you cross the doorway, but it's difficult to assign meaning to that.
I grab him by the jaw, and I say, "You have one sentence," and I will slowly remove the gag. And if he tries anything, I'm holding a counterspell. I don't know if I can't counterspell because it's an anti-magic zone. He can't cut, but like one way or another.
Yeah.
All right.
And you've got the gag there if he starts saying something that sounds like a spell.
Yeah.
At the ready. He goes, I am at your service. What
Darn right you are.
do you wish to know?
2 things. Call it a mutual exchange of information. 1, once you left, was stolen and failed, who is now in command of that army?
Is there a second request?
No, I was going to give you something in return for that.
Oh,
Oh?
I fear that the command of the army has fallen to a fairly passionate Merilith.
Okay.
Her
Does
name
anyone
is
else have-
Hostenja. Although her true name is known only to the Old One himself.
Shit, I was going to say, if we had a demon's real name, that would be amazing.
That would be
That would be
fantastic.
fucking, like, cleric.
I
there
go
you
over. I go over to like him and I say like, "Did this woman happen to be of a dark nature and have black hair, perhaps? I saw someone similar in my visions."
I will sort of jump in because I assume I know a bit about demons and devils and such, and say, I don't think this is the woman that you saw. If it is a Marilith, did the woman that you see have a snake body
No,
and
not that I recall.
and 6 to 8 arms? In that case, I think
Feel
you're
like we're
safe.
getting distracted.
Yeah,
You're correct, Lady Vi. Sorry.
Yes.
Lady Vi, you got any questions you want to lay on this man?
What's happening at the battlefield in our absence? Was there a failsafe in case you were taken? What was the next line of defense?
I squeeze his jaw.
You have laid upon me a fairly powerful enchantment, devil.
Yep.
I will confess
Sure did.
that my fall was unforeseen. Even by the dungeon master.
Oh god.
Is there a fail-safe? No, there are just plot notes, just in tatters all over the floor, burning.
There are just lines being drawn through all
Just
of these
rip,
various plot
rip.
hooks. I would guess that disorder, at the very least, has taken our troops. They are a passionate but unruly lot under the best of circumstances.
I gag.
Yes, I'm aware.
We're done. We're done.
We've won!
And I would like to lean in and I say, I promised you something in return. First time we met when you landed on your dragon feeling mighty magnificent. You told me that your lord was an unforgiving one. Well, if you think he's unforgiving, just wait till I come back. And I toss him into the corner of the room because that's been pissing me off ever since he landed on a dragon. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking cut you down the side, you prick. And then
Oh yes.
I'm gonna leave him and leave the
And
room.
I turn to say about a girl like, I must say, Paladin, you have quite a way with words. I'm beginning to like you a little more.
So, as you step back out of this radiant energy, you again feel the strange pinpricks of whatever arcane energy is laced into the material of the door itself. The door, as you step out, swings closed on its own volition, and you hear a series of clacks, clicks, and gears turning. And as it does so, the various runes across the archway flicker on and off in some sort of radiant pattern. And at that moment, you hear the approach of many booths behind you in the hallway. You can hear the booming voice, full of bluster, of King Belvor approaching. And you also hear the voice of Tiramo behind him, offering some level of explanation. So around the corner, Belvor comes and stops, pulls up short, thumbs his thumbs under his massive belly into his belt, and looks with no level of intimidation at the drow, the devil, the cat, and heavily armored paladin. Well, this is a motley crew, is it not? Tiramo, are these friends of yours?
Yes, Your Majesty, they are. We have been working together for some time now. Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you all about the past 2 weeks, but the most important thing you must know now is that I believe that behind us in this cell, we hold a high priest of the Old One, of Eus. We captured him on the battlefield, to which we must return as quickly as possible. Do not, under any circumstances, let him out or allow him to cast. He is extremely powerful, Your Majesty.
The king is certainly thrown by your news and says, a high priest, do you know him?
Only by name. His name is Punch. He led the attack on the bridge, the name of which I am also forgetting currently, but it's not an imagination thing. Anyway, he is called Punch, and is a powerful cleric and priest of Eus. You must forgive us, Your Majesty. We must return as quickly as possible.
And Coronast just covers his mouth in shock and perhaps horror.
I know.
The king says, you have brought that into my castle?
Would you prefer that we had left him free on the battlefield to escape? Oh, no, you like it. Okay, good. Excellent. Fantastic.
No, you done well.
Oh, I misread that.
Well. Yep, totally misread the situation. Natural 1 on insight. Glad to hear it.
You have done well. If our troops fall at and it is the Crystal River, if our troops fall at the Crystal River, it may have been worth it to gain this prize.
We would like to avoid the fall of the troops.
Yeah.
Sable.
Yes. He is manacled, he is gagged, and he is in whatever the fuck that cell is back there. I recommend he stays that way until we get our asses back. But in the meantime, as lovely as this is, Your Highness, we still got a shitload of work to do, so...
Indeed, Tiramo kind of squirms at that, like, indeed we do.
Yes. Well, my strange guests, perhaps there will be time for me to learn more about you. Clearly, if I am to trust the judgment of Tiramo here, which I typically do, I warrant you more thought than perhaps I would give you if I just saw you on the street. Tiramo, please. I have more questions of you. The rest of you are certainly free to go.
Your Highness, I must be the one to return them to the battlefield. Your army and your commanders are in dire need of our assistance. If it is...
But Tiramo, you're a diplomat, and...
Believe me, I know it is not exactly my comfort space, but it seems that occasionally my abilities are helpful on the battlefield as well. If your highness commands it, I can return quickly, but please, for the sake of your forces, I must return the 5 of us as quickly as possible.
Cornest just hits his hand over his mouth again, turns,
I know.
and walks down the hallway. The king says,
Pay for that later.
I will protect your gift until your return.
Thank you,
But-
Your Majesty. Oh.
Should things go badly, don't fall. Return here. Are you able to do that?
I am, Your Majesty. If I return with the 5 of us now, I will be able to return here to the castle once more today in a rapid escape fashion should things go badly for us.
Protect your ability to do so. I must insist clearly. You have a tale to tell and information to share.
Of course,
And
Your
if
Majesty.
this time when we arrive, maybe some welcome party would be appreciated as opposed to a...
Yes, I don't exactly appreciate the spears pointing on us at arrival, and don't you worry, King. I will protect Tirimo as best as I can. As a fellow elf brethren, I'd say he's worth protecting. Not exactly worth
fellow-
competition.
Fellow elf,
Hello, elf brother.
I love that. We're all like, Your Majesty, Your Highness, Your Grace, King.
King.
crown wearer.
Yeah.
he looks at Tiramo and rubs his belly in that unconscious gesture that is kind of nauseating to you because even through his thick royal robes, you sense that he is finding his belly button and gently probing it. But as he does so,
Why?
he says, Tiramo, I expect I'm either going to like these folk or hate them. A lukewarm reaction is likely not.
That was
in
my
future.
that was my assessment when I first met them too. We shall endeavor to achieve the former, but we really must return to the battlefield now.
Please.
He falls in
Let's-
battle. You're going to like me very much.
That's
Don't let
he's
King
like,
Belgor
big
the
fan.
Fourth, Regent of Furiondi, King of the
Good.
Knights of the
I
Heart,
walk past
stand
him.
in your way. Please be about your business.
I'm gonna pay for all of this when we get back, and I don't care. Let's go.
Yes. That's early on.
Very
please.
respectful bow.
Yeah.
Just a nod, walks past.
So as you
I'll be the
I
last
give
to
the
turn.
king.
I'll be the last. Yeah, I'll be the last
from
to turn
corridor
and like.
to corridor,
I
each
take
one
a
of you,
glance
as
back.
you as you glance back, approaching the teleportation circle, you look back. The troops now line that corridor just outside the open gate to the teleportation room. You look back and you think you see a head peering down the hall at you. You think you make eye contact with the familiar face, but when you do, it disappears around the corner.
Gonna pay for that. All right, off we go.
So, as each of you step into the teleportation circle, embraced by the amber energy, each one of you wonders what this journey will bring to you. However, and again, this is my promise, we are reaching the end of our story separations. I can see now at the time I've got left, I have the time to do this. Tiramo steps out of the teleportation circle. Not this one, but one from the city of the Queen herself. Not Chendel. Why can't I remember the name of Anstad, the capital of the elven realm of Selene? Steps from that teleportation circle into the great clearing of the timeless tree. The great clearing is not around you, but below you. The teleportation circle at the heart of the timeless tree is 300 feet in the air. suspended by a parapet of a mighty oak arm, high in the treetops. When you appear there, no one is there to receive you.
Oh no.
You hear in the distance you smell smoke in the air, heavy smoke. And as you cast your eyes to the north, you can see across the treetops, because you are well above this encampment, you can see the northern Vesvi is on fire. There's not a fire within the forest. The forest, which at that point is nearly 300 miles across, appears to be completely in flame. Somewhere far below, you can hear the clash of arms. You hear the distinctive whistle of arrows through the air. You hear cries both in Elven and in Fowler tongues, mingling together in a battlefield din far below. Alone on this parapet, what do you do?
So many things that I don't have time for. I think I would try to go to wherever in the... I mean, I said I was here to confer briefly and check in with our high priestess. So if I can find her chambers or her receiving chambers quickly and see if she's there, that's... I mean, as much as it kills him to not stay and do this, like, he knows he doesn't have time. So I would go wherever I think the high priestess might be found.
So you begin racing down the narrow, twisting walkways that have grown out of the trunk of this massive oak. You go down and down and down, and you see the outer wall of the city, smoke coming from it. You see, probably a quarter of a mile away, that all of the upper parapets of this wall have elven archers looking downwards, but you can see huge dark arms clambering over the edge of the wall. What that beast would be, you don't know, but something terrifying is climbing up and over the wall. You do see the bodies of elven archers falling back, spiraling down to the ground, but you race across familiar paths and hit the doors to the Temple of Coralon with two open palms, blowing them inward. The scent of burning flesh and wood is now replaced by burning incense. And you see half-dozen robed elves, prostrate. Prostate is very important as well, but something entirely different. It's something you only care about when you get to be my age and can't go to the bathroom. Anyway, so they're all down on all fours. And at the other end of this is a tree that has grown up, but somehow the shape of the tree seems to have the features of an elf. And it is worshipped as an icon of Coralon. And your high priestess is there, on the steps in front of the tree, and you can hear her mellifluous voice now stretched taut with an edge of tension as she chants prayers with the rest of the faithful.
I don't want to interrupt their casting and their chanting, but also I need to talk to her. Can I tell if they're actively casting something that I would be interrupting, or if they are more just sort of holding worship?
They seem to be in a posture of worship. You can understand from their chants and prayers that they are asking for the blessing of Coralon in what might be their last moments.
Sure. So I will, heedless of protocol at this point, I will approach the priestess and say, "Hi, Seer. This is not what I imagined coming home to. I haven't much time. Please tell me, what have you seen? What can I do? Can I get you out of here? How can we save our home?"
She does not immediately turn to you, but you hear she stops speaking. She slowly turns to you, and she has a burned gash down her cheek from just below her eye, down across her neck, as if some burning missile grazed her face. And she looks up at you and says, "This is a time of tragedy, a time of sorrow. This could be the end of what we thought to be timeless. We take comfort now in Coralon and in the life to come."
It cannot be, High Seer. This tree has stood for centuries. We cannot lose it now. I will contact the Queen and ask her to send whatever she can to help us right away. Please, we cannot give in.
Feel free to do what you can, but we are beyond aid. The nearest aid would have been Flameflower, but a different foe seems to have come from another side and taken it. We find ourselves between two enemies, one we know and one we know not, and we are cut off from all allies.
I will take the jewel that the Queen gave me and try and contact her and just very quickly tell her that the tree is being overrun. And, he knows there's nothing she can do, but he is frantic and, begs for aid, probably knowing on some level there's nothing to be done.
So as you reach out, as you take this gem in your hand, and you, not knowing exactly what to do, just reach towards the mind of Lady Ralta, you sense a shimmering around you, and an immense sorrow. And you hear something that you've never heard before, in the almost literally timeless voice of this old, beautiful creature, Yolande, the Queen of the Elves. It's a stammering, it's a confusion. How did we not know? So quickly they have come.
Please, anything you can send, please.
The circles, we will activate them all. How did this happen so quickly?
I don't know. They are here. They are upon the walls. The archers, the guards cannot hold out much longer.
I will do what we can.
Thank you, Your Grace.
I will do what I can. And the connection is broken.
High Seer, please let me take you from here. Take you somewhere safe. We cannot lose you and the tree.
I will stay with the tree. You know that I must.
I know.
And as you look upon her, you see something you've only seen once or twice in your long life. The face of an elf beginning to show age. The elves hold their form until right before they release. And it is at that moment where time seems to crash down upon them, where their skin thins and grows taut. Wrinkles trace across a face that only moments before appeared absolutely ageless. Her golden hair is beginning to whiten and coarsen before your eyes.
Then I will stay with you until it is done. Until I cannot remain longer and must return. But I will bear witness to your passing, High Seer.
She places a hand on you, and she has done this as a gesture of affection since you were a child. My Tirimo, it is a gift from Corlon himself that I have a moment to part from you. You go with my favor, and as I enter the next life, if Corlon so blesses me, I will call to you. Perhaps we will see one another again. And perhaps I will know you for who you are.
He just sort of nods to her and holds her hand.
You are so dear to me, young one. But the dead bear witness to nothing. Go now. And remember us.
He takes a deep breath and steps away from her, and not wanting to leave the room and also not wanting to use up the circles. If by some chance the queen is able to send aid through them, presumably he's been in Belvor's castle for a while and has something that connects him there for his teleports. So rather than using a circle, he'll just use the helm to use the connection of the item and teleport that way, so he doesn't have to leave her side until the last second. And then he will leave.
As you trigger the teleportation, there is a moment of translucence of the world. You see through the tissue of her flesh to the faint pulsing of her heart. And through the backside of the temple, you see elven bodies falling backwards as if in slow motion. And the line of orcs charging, stepping heedlessly on the fallen, approaching with swords and clubs and torches held high, rushing towards the temple and past it towards the monolith known as the Timeless Tree. And then a window...
Sorry.
Continue.
No, I was going to say, as he takes in this last sight, he triggers the helm and just lets out a sob. And I think the item that I have and the location in the castle that I teleport to when I don't use the circles are my private chambers. And so Tirimo arrives in his chambers and just collapses to his knees, the helm falling off of his head, face buried in his hands, and just remains there kneeling, sobbing for his homeland.
Tang, 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 tang. The helm clatters to the ground. The smell of your room, redolent with incense, washes over you, but gives no comfort. Fortunately, no one else is there, and you can take all the time that you need. We will go for one brief moment, not to the battlefield, but to tie up the last of our loose ends. If you remember, 2 weeks ago, the three of you stood in Lord Holmer's chamber in the Shield Land. At that moment, perhaps summoned unintentionally by Sable, spying on Patch, Althea, and the Lord of Pain himself, Hughes appeared in the chambers of Lord Holmer. He reached out to you, Sable, if you remember. His aged form growing to a height to loom over you, almost like a cobra's cowl. He wrapped his aged fingers around your throat, but then stopped, smiled, and drew back, and said something along the lines of, interesting. Well, apparently we are to share a story together. You didn't care what he was talking about. You swung at him with your sword, which clashed to the floor in the empty space that was only moments ago inhabited by him. You turned to see him with his arms around Lord Holmer, and that he and Holmer disappeared. 3 massive demons materialized at the far end of the chamber. Let's see if I can bring up a picture of that for you. There we go. Just to rouse your memory. Lord Grievering and Tinette turn towards each one of you and shout, Lord Grievering! This is not both of them in unison. This is Lord Grievering. Lord Holmer has been taken! Follow me! And he charges out a side door. He does not pause to see whether you are following, but Lady Tinette stops and beckons you all on. I assume all of you follow, or do we stand our guard?
Oh, yeah, we're going to follow.
Yeah.
You hear a din, an explosive din of things crashing. You hear some massive form smashing against tables and walls, and you hear also ting 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 ting, all of these swords clashing together, possibly wielded by the serpentine demon behind you. As you rush downwards, you burst out into the courtyard, and then you can see wheeling in the air above the demon forms of those forces descending upon the Shieldlands. And Holmer jumps on his horse, as does Tinette, and they turn to you and call, "We ride for the river! We make our stand there!" I trust all of you continue with them.
I would like to do one thing before the last thing I will do as I leave the room. I'd like to cast Shatter on the ceiling above the demons to cover our retreat. Because I'm going to bring the room down on them. I'm just like, nope!
Nice. We're not going to roll for damage. I'm not going to assign hit points to the ceiling. For story, you turn as these massive creatures, clearly an undefeatable trio, advance towards you. There's a crack, which apparently leads to another crack. A cascading failure of arches and structures begins to rain down upon these creatures. As you see the first bits of wall hit them, you feel that this might not be all that is required to fell them. So you chase Tinette and Lord Grievering as they pour out of the courtyard. You see that there are forces on either side, and you begin an epic ride with an army to your right, to your left, and to your rear towards the Crystal River. Upon which banks, 2 weeks later, you materialize once again. We have brought all the stories together, all the groups, all the time. Josh is still giving me fingers, so I will give you the last word.
No, I've got a plan, but if we don't have time,
No, we've got a plan.
I've got a suicidal plan. And it's like a one thing, but I don't know if it'll work. But I can save it. I can wait. I'll have to write it down somewhere.
I think you will need to remember it, because thus ends episode 3 of Wheels of War. Woe upon woe. The party is together. The party is all
Yay.
in the present.
Yay!
We are done with the flashbacks. And now I just have to figure out how to prepare for every conceivable eventuality. Because
Yeah.
You were the one who let us start at 10th level.
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to drive
is
a
hard.
story. I like to
It
hold
is.
on to a story at that level because you can do basically anything. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! Which is part of what makes this so absolutely fun. I had no idea
Totally.
I had no idea that we were going to be here at the end. So super fun. You guys are such fun players. I am thrilled with the fact that though this is the first time that I've played with all of you, I have a feeling I'm going to be playing and rolling dice with you guys for years to come. I certainly
so.
hope that that's the case.
Yes.
Let's go around and remind everybody where they can find your fantastic selves over the next week. Oh, we've got 3 minutes to get out of here. Let's go around starting with Alex.
Hello, I'm Alex. You can find me on Twitter at AlexCat2. I played Lady Vibrance, the Tiefling Cleric. You can also find me on Variant Roles, another Twitch channel, and that's about it.
Fantastic.
I'm Eugenio Vargas.
Eugenio.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Eugenio. I played Dirimo, the 10th level divination wizard. You can find me on Twitter, my personal page, at Eugenio_Vargas. I am also the Friendly Neighborhood Dungeon Master DM Jazzy Hands for the actual play podcast, The Last Refuge, which you can find on Twitter at DND Last Refuge and wherever podcasts are given freely away. I also am sometimes hanging out at Variant Roles with Alex, although probably not for another month or so. But you can catch us over there every now and again.
Fantastic. What about you, Kevin?
All right, I'm Kevin. I'm playing the level 10 Tabaxi Monk Shiroi Gito, and you can find me on Twitter at KKudoVA1, on YouTube at KevinKudoVA, Instagram KevinKudoVA1, and that's about it.
And Josh.
I am playing Cross, who is the Warlock Din, Palalock, whatever. Asimar, Sable Cross, who's the bane of this campaign, clearly. And you can find me on Twitch and on Twitter at Encounter Joshua, and soon to be DMing once again my Trinity campaign in my homebrew world. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Fantastic.
Indeed.
That's exciting. Well, right on. I'm DM Shane. I usually live over on the Greyhawk channel on Twitch. You can catch me there. I DM a number of shows. And if you like D&D's original game world in this game, then that's where you can find more of it. You can find me on the Twitters at Mage and Sage. Let's all together join our wills and our powers and will Tia to be in that black box. Next week, we have missed her painfully. Role players, come back to us. Let's wish for a full group next time because the story is now unified. What exactly is going to happen? I don't know. So farewell from Wheels of War. in Greyhawk, we say, stay gray. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And I hear our closing music.